Hollow Creek was a small, almost forgotten town in northern Vermont, the kind of place where autumn came early and never seemed to leave. The air always smelled of smoke, wet leaves, and something older, hidden deep beneath the skin of the town. By day, Hollow Creek looked harmless, cozy even. Narrow streets, faded storefronts, an old oak tree on the square, and quiet people who never spoke too loudly. But after sunset, the town seemed to exhale. The silence grew heavy. Shadows stretched longer than they should. And something unseen began to move in the dark. Sarah Mitchell arrived there in late October. She was a university art history professor from Boston, recovering from a breakdown. Her therapist suggested rest, solitude, and a change of scenery. Hollow Creek seemed perfect, peaceful, cheap, far away from everything. The rental agent gave her an old house on the hill, a weathered Victorian place overlooking the woods. It once belonged to the Wallace family, but the agent avoided eye contact when she mentioned their name. "The house has been empty for decades," he said too quickly. "You'll be fine." Sarah didn't believe in ghosts. But from the very first moment she saw that house, she felt uneasy. The roof was half collapsed, the paint peeling like old skin, and every window seemed to stare straight into the forest. And then there was the light. A faint, warm glow from the attic window. When she asked about it, the agent shrugged. Reflection from a streetlight, probably. But there were no streetlights on that hill. The first 2 nights were silent. On the third, as the wind howled through the chimney and the house creaked like an old ship, Sarah heard footsteps above her. Slow, heavy, moving from one room to another. She froze in the living room, her coffee cup trembling in her hands. The steps stopped. Then came a faint tapping, steady, deliberate, as if someone on the other side of the wall was drumming their fingers. She climbed the stairs, her flashlight trembling. The attic smelled of dust and rot. Old portraits hung crooked on the walls, their faces cracked with age. One painting caught her eye, a woman with long dark hair and hollow eyes. The nameplate beneath it read, "Margaret Wallace, 1874. The eyes were painted with unnerving detail, so real, so alive, that Sarah could swear they followed her. In the corner stood a tall mirror in an ornate wooden frame, split by a single crack down the middle. When her light swept across it, for a heartbeat she saw movement behind her, a faint, human shape. She turned sharply. Nothing. But downstairs, a door slammed shut. The next day she visited the town library and met Thomas, an elderly man with a quiet, tired voice. When Sarah mentioned the house, the color drained from his face. "You live there," he whispered. Then he said nothing more. That evening Sarah found an old newspaper folded inside a drawer beneath the stairs. The headline read, "Wallace Family Vanishes. Only bloodstains and unburned candles found." October 31st, 1984. She didn't sleep that night. At exactly 3 a.m., the same hour the footsteps began, she heard it again, the slow creak of someone descending the stairs. Then, a whisper. A woman's voice, soft and cold. "Don't look up." Sarah's pulse hammered in her ears. But she did. On the ceiling, a shadow was moving, a body hanging upside down, hair spilling downward, face hidden. Her scream filled the house. The fireplace flared bright, as if something had breathed into it. And then, darkness. Sarah woke on the floor near the fireplace, her hands covered in ash. The morning light was gray, lifeless. She didn't remember falling asleep. Only the faint echo of that whisper, still ringing in her skull. On the wall above her were long, dark streaks, handprints, climbing upward toward the ceiling. Logic tried to explain it. Stress, exhaustion, hallucination. But the house no longer obeyed logic. The lamps flickered even when unplugged. And in the mirror, the cracked one upstairs, there was always a dim glow, as if someone stood behind the glass holding a candle. Sometimes the old radio would turn on by itself. Faint, broken voices, murmuring from somewhere deep underwater. The next day, Thomas came to see her. He brought a weathered book of local legends. At the very last page, scrawled in fading ink, was a single note: Margaret Wallace has returned. The house no longer belongs to the living. That night, Sarah tried to leave. Her car wouldn't start. Her phone had no signal. The road leading downhill was blocked by branches, freshly cut, deliberately laid across the path. When she returned to the house, the mirror in the attic was no longer cracked. It was whole. And in its reflection stood a woman. White dress, wet hair, empty eyes. Sarah turned around. Nothing there. But when she looked back, the woman was closer. Her lips moved. The whisper came from everywhere at once. You're already here. Don't leave. We've been waiting for you. The lights died. Wind shattered the silence. Every candle in the house ignited at once, blood-red flames dancing on the walls. A shape appeared there. At first, it was a woman. Then the form stretched, distorted, became something crawling and formless, its sockets empty, its mouth too wide. Sarah ran. The door wouldn't open. The walls pulsed like lungs. The house was breathing. She screamed, and the world went black. When police arrived the next morning, the front door was locked from the inside. No one was there. But the attic window glowed faintly with a warm, golden light. And in the mirror by the window, they saw a reflection. A woman's face. It looked like Sarah's. But the eyes were not hers. They were cold, ancient, and unblinking. Just like Margaret Wallace.